I'm so excited to be here today with a actually very dear friend. Can I say friend? Kathryn, who is a designer meet strategist specializing in capturing that must-have factor for your brand. She's known for her artisanal approach to branding, starting everything with original pencil sketches for a brand that you can truly own. But this is about so much more. This is about clarifying your business purpose. This is about finding your people, and bottom line, it's about your profit. She is the most proud of the confidence her clients get from branding, and she will never get tired of seeing the before and afters of her clients, not just of their websites or products, but of them as people. And that's what I want her to do for you today. She wants to help you shine with the tools to share your message and help impact more than ever before. Kathryn, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you so much for having me.
So I have goosebumps reading that because I remember the first time I discovered you was through a client that you had, and I was in her course. And I just remember instantly falling in love with your passion that you have about not only web designing and brand developing, but really, like you said, building confidence in your people, your clients as they expand and grow their business. Tell me a little bit about how you got started on this journey.
Yeah, so I have a background in graphic design, got the 4-year degree in it, and then I worked in publishing doing branding and book covers. So that's really a whole world about first impressions, right? You see the cover, either you're intrigued and you want to pick it up and see what's inside, or you're like, that looks really lame, right? So that's totally the business of first impressions, which branding has a lot to do with that. But the really cool part about branding is it's about creating a strong first impression and sustaining it through an ongoing brand experience. So when you think about your brand, it's not just the logo, it's not just what your website looks like, it's really your visuals, your voice, and your reputation. And all those three things work together. And that's what it allows you to charge higher prices. That's what allows you to get repeat business. That's what allows that, reputation to spread. It's really your brand. And so this is such a powerful vehicle for businesses to do the work that they love. And so for me, I just have a huge passion to enable other people to really live their dream, to be able to transition out of a traditional floral job to doing hotel installations, to do something that's very scalable, to do something that's very consistent, to then support their families, but also they're supporting their dream.
I love that you've brought this up because I know you have so much experience, especially in the wedding industry and the floral industry, helping florists just look phenomenal for those brides out there, those dream clients that they want to work with. Now, I know a lot of florists that are currently listening are either event and wedding florists, or maybe they're either just starting their floral journey and they're like, hey, I've never really thought of being a hotel florist. I don't really know what hospitality floral design is, but I really like it. How can I position myself online, or what can I do on my website that could possibly make me stand out to a potential hospitality or corporate client?
Yeah. So I would say there's 3 things you want to think about putting on your website if you're looking to pivot or niche yourself into this industry. So we have worked with a lot of florists, like Francesca said. But if you're looking to really establish your brand as being the go-to service provider in a specific niche, there's really 3 steps you need to take. So first of all, you need to show work that represents the type of work you want to do more of. Basic, right? But so many people do not do that. So if you're going to be a hotel florist, you need to get a few images. And if you're just getting started, maybe all you can do is buy the product to craft, 2 to 3 main splash images, but that is still going to do wonders for your brand in terms of creating instant boom. People land on your website, they know you're a hotel florist, because you can even do the SEO keywording, you can do the titles, all that stuff. But I think the most important thing is at a glance, you look like a hotel florist. That needs to be really prominent. And, maybe you make a subpage of your website that all those big splash images are hotel oriented. But certainly it needs to be incorporated on your main landing page as well, so people don't miss that. So that's number 1. Number 2, you need to have credibility. So maybe you haven't worked with the hotel yet. Maybe you're still in the process of, taking Francesca's wonderful advice of acquiring these ongoing partnerships. Well, maybe you have some other clients that you have done florals for, and you can still use their reviews. So when you're picking reviews, really important, you need to pick about 5 to 10 words max. Okay. I know that people gush about you because you're wonderful, but people aren't going to read that on your website. So I want you to go through your reviews. I want you to pick the 3 top testimonials you have, whether they're hotel related or not. If you've got one that specifically says hotel, great. Use that one first and foremost. But really hone in on some really just pithy, to the point, something you could like read at a glance without even like pausing your scroll. Try to think about it that way. All right.
That's such a good tip, by the way. The first one was awesome, but the second one, I'm like, yeah, now I'm thinking about my testimonials.
Yeah, it's, it's people, I think we get so close to projects too and clients that we're like,
Yeah.
oh my goodness, they wrote me the most precious letter. And
I have to share it with the people on the interwebs.
Yes. And, tuck that away in your little keepsake box. Do not put that on your website. That's for you. The part that's for marketing purposes is just a keyword. I know it's hard. Number 3, this is also going to sound really basic. Have a very easy way to get in touch with you. So I see this all the time. I know you guys are probably thinking, Kathryn, I have a contact form already. I'm good. Check, check, check. Well, maybe not. I want you to take a look at your contact form. And is it really easy to fill out? Especially if you're just getting started in an industry, you don't need barriers to entry to work with you. That might come later on as you become more exclusive and sought after, and you're trying to, field through business. That's a whole other ballgame. But if you're just getting started on this re-niching, then make it a really simple form. I want to make sure that you have call to action, meaning a text hyperlink or a button leading to that way to get a hold of you on every page of your website. Ideally, this should be in the navigation of your site, a really prominent, like, get a quote, or, apply to be a client, or whatever kind of verbiage. It doesn't just need to say contact. You can get, make it a little bit more lucrative to get in touch with you. That's fine. But it needs to be super clear, crisp, to the point. That needs to be in your navigation. That needs to be in your footer. And then I also want you to sprinkle that throughout all your landing pages. Landing pages meaning like the key pages of your site. So about, services, philosophy, portfolio. Those would be your landing pages. Okay. So
such a good tip. Like, you don't want a potential client to burn, you want them to burn 0 brain calories trying to work with you. Like, they land on your page, exactly what to click to inquire.
Absolutely. And make sure you've got an email link too on the contact page itself. Also ideally, if you can have a phone number, because if you think about who you're targeting, I would imagine, Francesca, you can correct me if I'm wrong, I'm imagining that they're targeting someone that has this corporate job at the hotel, that them contracting a florist is one of many, many duties. And they're probably used to getting on the phone with people. And
they just pick up the phone. They want answers right now. They need solutions.
That's right. That's right. This might be something they've been putting off, or their boss was just like, oh, hey, now we have the budget for that. So yeah, a lot of times they're going to want really instant answers. So make sure you've got the email link and the phone call link as well. Especially because if they're looking for kind of a one-off situation, or maybe they want to do like a trial project, and a contact form can kind of scare people away if they're like, well, that's not for me.
It's a little bit impersonal as well. It's like, everyone has a contact form, but one of the things I still remember when I visited your website, and it's something that I've started talking to the students of the Hotel Florist Profit Method, is remember your customer's buying experience. If you want to celebrate, and you're probably going to go to a really nice restaurant, or you're going to go to a really nice boutique, and you're going to splash out for that maybe designer bag that you've been eyeing for years, or you're going to splash out for that really nice bottle of wine that you would never have bought otherwise. But it's because it's a celebration, and it's because it's a buying experience that you're looking for, that it's going to be memorable. And the same thing is on your website. And even if it's a simple thing like a contact form, I myself am guilty of this, and by no means am I perfect, but I do remember going to Kathryn's site, and it was just so personal. It was as if she was sitting with me, guiding me through like what she does, why she does it, the people that work with her, what she thinks of what they think of what she's done for them. And it was just, I remember the experience, even though I wasn't a customer at the time, I just thought, wow, I love this experience with this brand. And so I think everything that you have mentioned, like you said, they're very simple, but they're very, very impactful. And I think at this point, this episode has been invaluable, especially because you bring the perspective, not only as a brand designer and basically what it is that you do, but what I want to say is that you think about not your client, but you think about your client's potential client when you're designing something for them. And I think that's very rare that you have that insight. Just like I tell the florist, you don't design for the client, you design for the client's guest. So I just, oh my gosh, I have goosebumps. I love this episode already. Thank you so much for being here.
I'm so happy to be here. It's an honor to get to talk to people that are investing in their passion because, yeah, I think what you're enabling people to do is incredible. So I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you, Kathryn. Now, I know if everyone get your phones out, go to Instagram, follow Crème Brands at Crème Brands at CREME Brands, because what is so special about you is that you basically sketch everything from scratch, from your inspiration that you have to create these incredible branding logos for your clients that they use for years and years and years to come. It's never dated. It's always exactly tailored and bespoke to them and their mission. What makes you feel inspired to continue to do this? I mean, this is very powerful, very creative.
Oh, thank you. Well, I think I'm really inspired by, I guess, the craft and pursuit of quality, of course. And I think probably everyone listening can relate to that. And that's probably why you're a florist, because you really
Yeah.
do care about, what's not just what is this going to look like? What's the impact of this going to be? And as florists, when you put flowers in a room, that the air in that room, not just the fragrance from the flowers, but like the way you feel when you walk into a space that's been elevated with flowers, totally different impression
It
and
changes.
experience. It
It
does.
changes. I say all the time, flowers change space. If you pick up any magazine, any architectural, anything, and you flip through the photos of the rooms, you'll always see a flower arrangement or a plant. And if you put your thumb and you cover it, the whole image, the whole feel completely changes because flowers transform space.
They do. And so I think for me, I have a really parallel passion when it comes to branding, because to me, the way I frame up someone's work or their product, their offering, it's totally going to change how that's perceived. So it's a really powerful thing to get to do for someone. So I'm really passionate about that, about understanding a business. Who are they trying to reach? What's the message they're trying to share with their target, i.e. the people that are going to pay, to hire them or to work with them? And then what is the why fueling all of it for that business? Because that's going to help me hone in on what makes them different in their market, why someone should work with them. And that's going to directly, structure our approach to how we frame up their work, not just with the visuals and, this hand-drawn logo that's very custom. It's very specific, just like you were reading at the beginning. It's something that a business can truly own because it is custom, and it's not just like, oh, okay, Kathryn took this font and just like went, paired this together, which is fine. There's lots of approaches to graphic design, just like there's lots of approaches to floral. But for me, the approach I really believe in and have invested my career in is really giving something that is trademarkable, that is, can be owned by a company, because brands become more valuable over time. So what you invest in your brand today is worth a lot, because you can start to shift perception of your services or your company immediately. But it's going to be worth even more when you look a decade, 5, 20 years from now, because as you think about it, that brand is going to be applied to more and more items over time, whether it's in the digital space, whether it's like, think about the number of impressions your website is going to have over 10, 20 years, an enormous amount. Think about the amount of revenue that your business is going to see over the course of 1 year, 2 years, 3 years. Just really add all that up in your head, the trajectory of your business. A brand is something that's going to be correlated to purchase decisions. So it becomes more and more valuable as more is invested. And then even if you think about a brand value from the sense of recognizability, a brand, like, you might notice a new restaurant pop up, not really think about it. You're like, you drive by, you're like, oh, that's cute. Okay, whatever.
That looks cute.
Yeah, whatever. It already has like some innate value because it kind of like piqued your interest. But it becomes more and more valuable as you drive by again and again. You get more used to seeing that. It forms something in your brain where it's like you see their brand color, or you see the font, or you see just at a glance something that makes it recognizable, whatever, visual is factoring into the memorability of that, it becomes more valuable the more you as a potential consumer can recognize it. And then when you go there and you try the food, and then you are tying the visual connotation to what that food tastes like and how good the service is and how
Mhm.
beautiful the dining experience is, that's really a brand. Then it's like, oh, now you're associating the value of what you experienced to what you've already seen and remembered it as. So that becomes more valuable. If that restaurant then goes and completely changes what they look like, their logo, all of that, there's going to be a rebuilding process, right? Because you as the
Mhm.
consumer are going to have to get used to that. So that's why I say it's so important to invest in a timeless brand, because you don't want to build this really epic business and then you get really far into it and it's like, okay, now I have to start kind of, at least with the brand perception or memorability factor, kind of rebuilding that. It's definitely worth it, because I
Mhm.
think at a certain point, your branding is either driving people towards buying from you or it's driving people away from it. And so
Yeah.
obviously you have to kind of weigh, you're like, well, there's a lot that goes into rebranding. And I think it scares people because of the very real situation I just mentioned. But at the end of the day, you have to really look at, well, am I attracting the right people with my current branding? And a lot of times the answer is no. And so you have to then look at, okay, well, 10 years from now, am I going to regret that I didn't go ahead and, do this and do
Mhm.
this right? So whatever you're able to invest in branding, I would say just try to look at it as a long game. Branding is not a microwave for your business. This is a slow bake. Like, what are we going to do over the long course to really grow this?
But I love that first of all, I love the microwave analogy. Like that hits it spot on. But I also want to say that when you are investing in a timeless brand, especially when it's still uncomfortable, when you're at the edge in your business where maybe, you see the progress, but maybe you don't have the full sum ready to hire a brand expert, just remember that you whenever you start creating this timeless brand, you are literally thinking of, who do I want to be in 10 years? Where do I want this company to grow? You think completely different and bigger. And then you also have someone that you're working with who's a strategist who can help you ask yourself the right questions to make sure that you are in alignment with the company that you want to build, versus kind of being in the day to day, like it's good enough now. This is how I feel. This is how I want to represent myself now. And a lot of times people end up playing small because they stay in the now versus planning for the future, which like you mentioned, that timeless brand. When is a good time for a floral designer, an entrepreneur, someone who would want to reach out to use your services to start implementing this timeless brand in their business?
I think you have to have a somewhat tested product or service. So that could be in the beta testing form. That could mean, translating that to floral world. That could mean you've contracted for a florist, you really know you're in it, you're going to create this and build it, and you want to do that for the long haul. To me, that's almost like you've created your own little beta testing process. I would say I would not jump into branding if you don't really know, who you are as a business, meaning what makes you different from other businesses. And I'm not saying you have to have the perfect elaborate answers, but you have to have an idea going into the process of how you want to be positioned, because your strategist and designer can't deliver your business model to you. Our
Mm,
role is really to make your business model shine, to,
mhm.
kind of do the polishing, put it in that beautiful velvet box, but you need to have an actual kind of gem or something of value that you're delivering to people, and then we'll help you position that. So make sure that you've actually worked with clients, that you have at least a small body of work, because
Mhm.
as well, I can't go in and look, just talk to someone and be like, okay, I get them. Like, I might have a visual perception of who they are as a person, but when it comes to being a business, it's not really just about your personal style, like Francesca was talking about. It's how can we frame up your work, the style of your work, in a way that's going to most speak to clients, that they want to pay more for it and invest in you. So, yeah, just have a little bit of work experience and kind of know the general direction. And I think that that's enough to go ahead and go through a process. Now, a lot of times we end up working with businesses that have been around, 5 to 10 years. That's kind of like our average client right now. And I would say there's not necessarily a wrong time to invest, because you do have to look and say, well, if I stay with what I have, you know, am I really going to lose sales? You have to look at not just the potential value of branding, but the potential loss for not branding, because
Mm.
obviously, especially in this digital age, it's not even just like the value of your logo, which I think is worth a lot, obviously coming from a brand perspective, but it's, has your website been properly SEO'd? Do you have an idea of your brand from a foundational perspective of like, what's like the key brand values that your company has? Because those are going to trickle into your blog post topics, what you write about on social media. When you do this whole reels thing, or, whatever the new trendy social media thing is, all of those things flow out of understanding what are my key brand values?
Mhm.
What's the key brand value proposition my company has? Meaning, like, why would someone hire me versus my competitor? And if you don't have clarity on that, then I think it is going to be more of a struggle to do all the other marketing functions. Not that knowing your brand makes those things ever easy, because it's always going to be work, but it's going to give you clarity and it's going to give you confidence, because you're going to know this is what my brand is about. So yes, I know these topics make sense, or yes, I know, this marketing strategy is going to work. So everything really kind of flows out of branding. I would say before you go hire a publicist, go through your branding process, because
Mhm.
publicist is going to drive more traffic to your site, right? Before you hire a business coach, or maybe you want to have someone help you set up the business model, to start with. But before you hire someone to help you with your sales process, or different types of coaches you could hire, understand your branding, because the sales, that's just going to get you in front of more people that you're going to have website shame about, or you're going to feel like not totally
Website shame.
confident, and
I
we don't
totally
want
have
that.
website shame. So if you're listening, do not get discouraged. Like oftentimes this is a process. Like I know I've known Kathryn for a number of years now. I met her during like running a completely different business model than I run today. And today the business model I run, it has taken me up until very recently to get very clear on, okay, am I going to own this? Am I going to do this? Is this the long-term plan? I tried several other things, and now I'm feeling really in alignment and really excited about the future of my brand. So this would be the perfect time for me to go and work with Kathryn versus maybe 2 years ago. Like you said, and I love that you bring that up. Like, you're not here to sort out my business model or to help me grow something. You're here just to basically do the finishing product. Like, I need to build the house, and then you're going to come in and do all the landscaping.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's a really good analogy. I like that.
It's like
Yeah,
your microwave
knowing where you're
analogy.
going is so important. And yeah, I think like designers can create you the most gorgeous brands all day long, but unless you're going to use those brands and let those brands go to work for you, then it's, a misplaced investment, I think. So make sure you're investing in something. That's why I said make sure you've done a little bit of practical work, at least to know, yep, this is what I'm doing, I'm committing. Because I think it is almost like that diving in commitment. I recently hired a business coach. We started back in February. And I felt like when I made that investment, it was just like this shift happened where I was like,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I've been doing this business for 8 years. It's not like I'm going anywhere, I'm changing, but
Yeah.
I think it was such a symbolic commitment to myself that I'm all in. I am
Mm-hmm.
absolutely going to go to the next level. And there's no more debating, like, well, am I going to do this? I can, like Francesca was saying, I can just like play small and safe and do what I'm really comfortable. And I know I'm already like good
I got
at.
that. That's comfortable. I know how to do that.
Right. It's so easy to live in that zone. And I think whether it's hiring a business coach or investing in the right program at the right time, or, someone like our team, a branding strategy and website company, it really is you saying, I'm committed. Like, I'm going to show
Mm-hmm.
up and I'm going to make sure that I see the return on this, because I'm going to get this brand out in front of as many people as I can. And what I've seen is, like Francesca mentioned in the beginning, the before and afters I see of our client, that is my favorite part, where it's like, yes, of course I could say, here's your old website, here's your new website. Like, but to me, it's not about that. I'm like, I see the business owner when I first meet them, and as we go through these deep dive calls where we talk about what makes you different, what is your unique value proposition, we drill into all of that and seeing them sometimes stumble their way through, sometimes even questioning and being like embarrassed to say, to really own it and be like,
Yeah.
this is why we're good.
Hmm.
To then at the end, when they're repositioned, their online presence is just totally, aligned and elevated. I think the way they see their own, capability changes. And so that before and after is just really powerful.
Absolutely. And there's a whole different energetic match there as well, because they're showing up more confidently. They believe in what they are selling. They don't have website shame anymore. I love this quote or this word. But I do want to go back to the investment portion, because the one thing that we often forget, because most of us we didn't pop out the womb thinking, I'm going to be an entrepreneur. I cannot wait to take all the risk in the world and be, a constant anxiety and be my own breadwinner and et cetera, et cetera. Our investment in ourselves is the greatest investment that we can ever give ourselves, if for our business, for our personal life. And so I always say it's not a matter of if you're going to make the money back. It's a matter of when you're going to make the money back and how fast. And because it's not just time and not just money that you're investing, it's then you get to decide if you want to invest time. And oftentimes when we are able to put money behind something and invest in ourselves and show up for ourselves because we believe, we trust, we know we've never let ourselves down before, so why would we start now? Then we're able to save so much more time. And time is an asset and a commodity as well. Just like you said, it's not how many sales you're going to get, it's how many sales are you currently losing. So if I want to wrap this up, but there's one last question. Well, actually I have two last, maybe three. So I'll make them fast. If someone is listening to you right now and they are just starting either in their floral journey or in their pivot or going into this niching down, what are some very simple things that they could implement today, maybe on social media? I know we touched about their website, but when it comes to, let's just say Instagram, how can they shift their presence and start strengthening their brand, speaking to their potential corporate clients, in your opinion? Your top 1 to 3 tips.
Yeah. So social media title and bio, you need to say probably florist, and then in the bio, you need to say hotel, something about that. If this is something you're doing, again, so basic. So many people just don't think about that. You have to realize people don't know what you don't tell them. So I truly am a believer that you get back what you put out there. So if this is what you want to do, if you want to attract these type of clients, make it really loud and proud. And then, in your photos, make sure that you're curating work you want to do more of, really similar, feedback to what I said about the website. And then in your stories, really show the process. I think process has an insane amount of value to position you as an expert. It makes you credible, and it's entertaining and intriguing, which that's why most people are on social media, is because they want to be entertained. And so even if you don't have a, funny personality, I definitely don't. I'm like a super serious kind of boring person, I feel like, but people love the process. They love to see it. Like that's, there can be a cathartic effect to that. And florals are beautiful. So if you can even show people your, even if you're de-stemming roses, or de-thorning, people are probably
we can de-stem
wow. Too. Yeah, you can do stem too. Okay, yeah, clearly I should not be doing the hotel installation.
We'll just have a lot of rose heads floating in glass bowls everywhere.
There we go. All right, we'll let Francesca turn that into a good vision. Yeah.
Oh, I love that you mentioned that. Okay. You've been here, you've helped us so much. What are your goals for 2021?
Oh, well, I am in the process of recreating my job description. And I feel like that kind of flows into everything in the business. So, I'm sure everyone listening to this can relate, but I have worn all the hats in the business, doing everything from writing and entering an SEO image meta to doing, a deep dive, like strategic session with a client where, they cry because they're so moved, and, drawing the logo, doing everything basically.
Yeah.
And I, have come to the point where I know that that's not the most productive use of my time. So in the past couple of years, we've been growing our team. And so for me now, getting really clear about what does it look like to be the creative director / CEO of this company, and making sure I'm giving our team what they need with processes and systems, and then making sure I'm operating in my zone of genius, which that's such a buzzword. And I don't like how arrogant that phrase sounds, but I just want to encourage you all that confidence is the root of generosity. So
Ooh.
if you want to show up for people, you need to show up for yourself. And, I think one thing Francesca had asked me before this podcast was what's, a buzz, a popular quote that you think is
What's a
just total
quote
BS.
or saying that people spout, but it's complete BS?
Yes, I love this question. And I think people say the dream is free, but the hustle is sold separately. I think that's total BS because the dream is not free. And if
Yeah.
you're going to believe that you are capable of taking the risks that you take on as an entrepreneur every day, facing rejection, facing potentially not being able to pay your bills, there's just a lot that goes into it. Being on the line for other people's payroll, being on the
Oh my
line
gosh.
for the hotel's results. Is the hotel going to think this is worth it? There is just, I could go on and on. You all get it. You all have your own inner monologues. But I
No, but it's
don't think the dream
100%
is
true.
free. I don't think the dream is free at all. I think that the work that you have to do to let go of your limiting beliefs is enormous because you have to decide, I can do this. I will do this.
Yeah.
And those are really difficult things to actually believe. And when I say I want to operate in my zone of genius, that's not even actually about me at the end of the day. That's about our clients getting a whole caliber that they wouldn't have access to if I was trying to do all the things. Or if I was like, oh, I'm here to serve, so I'm going to try to be everything to everyone. But when I take the shift to say, I'm going to operate in my zone of genius, I feel like that's the most generous thing I can do for our clients, for our team. That allows my team to do what they're really good at versus me going in and trying to do it for them or override, really learning to delegate and thrive in that. So that's a big goal this year.
This episode, honestly, I think has become one of my favorites. I feel like you've given so many practical tips, from websites to how to just simply do some small tweaks on Instagram, but also at the end of this has been so powerful because, like you said, it doesn't matter. We're across the board. We're entrepreneurs. And I actually just looked up the definition of entrepreneur because I love this definition, just to reassure people that you're not crazy. An entrepreneur takes on greater than normal financial risks in order to operate a business. That is the definition of an entrepreneur. So if you are feeling stretched at times, if you're really struggling with mindset at times or how to show up in the world, remember that your branding is really powerful. Remember that there are mentors out there that have been there, done that can help guide you, save you time, and that ultimately you are your greatest investment. So Kathryn, I am so grateful that you've been here. Tell me don't tell me, I know where to find you. Tell the people listening, where can they find you? Do you have anything that you can offer right now where they can just start taking the next steps?
Yeah, I would love to connect with you guys. So send me a DM on Instagram at Crème Brands. I do check our DMs. And then our website, we have a freebie for you. We have a free ebook of website tweaks you can make to attract your ideal client. So go grab that, go through that list. I think that is going to take you really far if you really apply it. But yeah, I'm here for you. If you guys have questions or need additional resources, I would love to have a conversation with you. Thank you so much for having me, Francesca.
Thanks for being here.